Hello K-drama lovers! Today we will discuss a Korean drama called The Frog, which not only offers the tension of thriller stories in general, this drama provides a mystery that must be solved by the audience until it touches the psychological side. Watching this series really requires readiness to enter the emotional and mental state experienced by the characters. The Frog tells the story of Jeon Young-ho, played by Kim Yoon-seok. Jeon Young-ho owns a villa in a beautiful remote place. The atmosphere is soothing with refreshing air, surrounded by green and dense trees. One day, he had a guest who made his life change drastically. The guest was a young woman named Yoo-seung, played by Do Min-si, comes with his handsome son named Ha-seo Yeon. At first, there were no strange signs, like a mother who is taking her son on vacation. But the surprise occurred when the villa owner found some money stored on the table as a full payment. At that time, Jeon Young-ho had not found his guests in the villa. He only left the money and the villa that he had to clean up immediately. Worried that the next guest would come to stay there, while cleaning up, Jeon Young-ho found an irregularity. She unconsciously held a fresh blood spot in her hand. He also smelled cleaners in the bathroom. Though obviously a guest would never want to clean the villa he rented. Moreover, only staying one night and having the intention of buying floor cleaner at the supermarket, Jeon Young-ho realized something was wrong with the guest. He was so scared that he decided to clean the village. He did not want anyone else to find out about this incident to make his villa labeled haunted and lose guests. Moreover, he is waiting for his little child and family to vacation at the villa together. Since then, Jeon Young-ho has never been able to live in peace. Especially when he saw the CCTV, which gave the fact that the tenant woman went home alone without her child. The mother was only seen carrying one large suitcase that was stored in the trunk of her car. Jeon Young-ho immediately gasped seeing that and concluded that the boy was put into the suitcase by his own mother. Then there is another story about Koo Sang-yeon, played by Yoon K-sang. His family suffered an unimaginable tragedy. A tragedy that destroyed the cottage business that was being built. Human remains were found in a room in the cottage. The tenant of the room was a serial killer who had been wanted by the police. From then on, the cottage suffered many losses. The bad rumors about the cottage made it lose many customers. No one wanted to rent rooms at the cottage anymore. The owners also lost their source of income to the point where their mental health was compromised in order to continue living. The two stories have almost the same setting. Both have the same conflict, but different responses to it. The story gets more interesting when the murderous woman returns to Jeon Young-ho's villa. At first, he pretended not to recognize and argued that there were no empty rooms. But his son, who was going on vacation at the villa, let a guest in the middle of their holiday. Throughout watching the Frog series, the author immediately felt that this was not an ordinary drama that many people loved. Usually, it's just about light romance dramas or ordinary murder cases, but The Frog presents a different story. Watching The Frog requires a lot of mental preparation and time. The audience is invited to think hard just to interpret and connect one scene with another. It's so thought-provoking that it's not at all suitable for viewers who are just looking for light entertainment. The Frog presents a story with two different timelines. The audience is given a mixed flow back and forth that keeps repeating. There seems to be no difference until stepping on episode 4. Only then do you understand that these two stories have different time settings, aka Koo Sang-yeon, which is set in the 2000s, while Jeon Young-ho lives in the present. The two are also different places, not the same in. The only thing in common is the tragedy that makes them have to deal with a guest who turns out to be a murderer. The time difference made the audience confused, especially at the beginning of watching. It feels like there are too many stories to be presented with too many characters involved. But when analyzed in more detail, the audience can finally take the red thread of the core story, including the two different stories that want to be presented. The scene is getting tense thanks to the acting of the players who are maximizing. Like Jeon Young-ho and Yoon K-sang, who both show their frustration with the right delivery. Both of them managed to make the audience sympathize with the threat that disturbed their business. The audience was confused between choosing to cover up the murder or consciously report to the police. Of course, the risk is what the future business continuity will be like. Unlike other thriller dramas that only present sadistic scenes without a message to convey, The Frog wants to give a view of the importance of courage to reveal the truth. Initially, one is not involved in a crime, but covering up a crime at night triggers other crimes. A lie will give birth to other bigger lies to cover up a lie. Throughout watching The Frog, I could only shake my head watching scene after scene. At first, I was even bored when I didn't know that there were two stories with different time settings. It was boring and there were too many supporting actors involved who had nothing to do with the main character. But when starting to understand the storyline, the audience is again made to shake their heads. Starting from the villa owner who decides to cover up a crime to the fact that a mother has the heart to kill her child. At the end of the story, the audience will be reminded of a real case that is currently in the news, about a mother who killed her own daughter. The Frog has the same background story, about a mother who kills her stepdaughter, making the audience shake their heads watching a heartless psychopathic woman with the heart to eliminate the life of a child who does not understand anything. The Frog will suit audiences who like tense and mysterious stories. Don't forget to be mentally prepared as the child encounters scenes that show human body parts. Include focus when watching this series as it requires concentration to be able to understand the whole story.